Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video that I'm going to be doing today is going to be about my mental health journey and different parts of my mental health. I wrote down some notes so I don't forget anything. Excuse me. First one is autism. Now, I know I may not look or sound like someone that does have autism, but autism is a spectrum disorder and it involves communication, it involves social, and also involves rigid interests and repetitiveness, whether that be verbally or physically, such as sounds or noises that are repeated or motions with your body. For me, let's see, I think back in 2015, I had an ex that was autistic, and I noticed through a lot of similarities with him as myself when I was younger. I noticed that there was a lot of ways that I could relate to him. Some of the ways I couldn't, but I know that autism for men and women is different, just like within boys and girls. So I tried to keep that in mind, but I saw stuff that he either did, said, or his experience growing up with it before he was diagnosed, where I could relate to what he had been through or was currently going through. And for me, when I was growing up, and I asked my parents also, so that way I could be able to give you guys a more accurate description of that, because I can't remember everything growing up. But when I was younger, I remember being very social. I remember liking organization a lot. I remember having very rigid interests, specifically in animals. Sometimes it would be horses, other times it would be dog breeds, other times it would be cats. Other times I've had a obsession over service dogs for a period of time, or helping out kids with disabilities, and those different things at that time is the only thing that would take up my time and interest. And anyways, back to what I was saying about my parents when I was growing up. Sorry, I've got allergies. When I was growing up, my parents said that I was very social, like I said. They said that they don't remember me having rigid interests. They don't remember me having trouble being social. They don't remember me having repetitive movements. But when I was a kid, I very vividly remember in the living room during a Christmas or birthday or just different times of the year, different months, weeks, days, whatever, when I was happy about something or I was bored or it was just my way of being able to expel excess energy. I remember standing in the living room as a kid, looking at the floor, and I would circle around as I stared at the floor, and then once I got dizzy enough, I would lay on my back and look up at the ceiling. And that movement and motion that I felt, I loved that. It made me feel good. Now, you might think that some kids would do that anyways, but I would do that for hours on end. My parents don't recall that because my mom was either on the phone, the computer, or she was watching TV. She was a stay-at-home mom, but she wasn't always watching everything I was doing, so she may not remember that. Plus, it was a long time ago. My dad doesn't really remember it because when he was home, he was either hanging out with us as a family or doing yard work, or he was doing work on the computer, or they were watching TV. So, and my dad also worked away from home. So you see, there's different things where, as parents, people might think, they know exactly what their kid was going through. But when you have a daughter that later finds out she's autistic, there was signs, but I was really good at masking it. Masking basically means this is all my autism symptoms, traits, whatever you want to call it. And this was my way of masking over it, so that way when it was around people or other places, when I presented myself, it was so subtle because I was good at copying other people. I watched things on TV, on kids' shows, or whatever it was, movies, and I would try to pretend what I saw, whether that would be how I act, how I talked. So some of those things might have just been, oh, she loves animals a lot. I love animals too. But they didn't do the same things I did, like researching about them, having binders full of information, going overboard with the ink cartridge from the printer to where your dad would tell you, hey, this is costing a lot of money, but for you it was like, oh, I didn't think about that until it was already too late. So just different things where I remember, let me see what else I remember. I know that whether that be in the past when I would go to church, I remember growing up in youth groups and college groups, social groups where people would be able to meet each other in fellowship and stuff like that. I remember always being the follower, not the one who was leading. I also knew, sorry, I need to get a drink. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Also, another thing that I do is when I'm nervous or in a social situation, such as this right now, a thing that I do called stimming. It's not just picking at myself, rocking, moving my leg up and down. For me, it's also I blink a lot, so it's more than what's needed for my eyes. And also another thing I do is I clear my throat a lot. I'm also talking too fast, so I'm getting myself out of breath, which I'll explain why I do that in a little bit. Let me see if I can go back to the thought I was having. Oh yeah, I wasn't just I wasn't a leader, I was a follower when it came to social settings with groups, whether that be outside of church, at church, and people would always say, you can't keep going after, these people. They don't want to be your friend. I thought they were just being nice to me, but turns out they were tolerating me. I didn't know that, so I just hung around them anyways, not understanding social cues. When it came to, let's see, what else? I already talked about rigid interests, talked about repetitive movements, social. Okay, so I don't remember ever doing this as a kid, but I do it now as an adult. I don't remember if I lined up toys or objects. I know now I love being organized, so that could be part of that, or it could be part of my OCD. For me, let's move on to the next thing. For me, OCD looks like before I go to bed, and also when I get up in the morning, let's see. Sorry, this happens a lot. Like, I'll have a train of thought and I'll be going on that train, and then all of a sudden, with my OCD, I will go over to the front door knob, the latch on our front door for our apartment, and it has one of those locks where the deadbolt has the part of the knob, and then it has the little thing that switches back and forth whether it's locked or unlocked. And with that, I will go over to it, I will hold on to it and I will turn it further the way that it's locked, even though it can't go any further. And I will go to it and I will say, door locked, door closed, door locked, and I will do that 4 times. I don't know why, but 4 times is what's stuck in my head. I will also go over to the kitchen and I will say the stove is clean, the oven is clean, even though we don't really hardly ever use the oven. The stove we do use. But I will say the stove is clean, the oven is clean, coffee maker off, the sink is empty, and then I will turn off the light. But each of those things, I have to say it 4 times. 4. Can't be 5, can't be 6, or 9. It has to be 4. Why? I don't know. I just usually tell people it's just the number that my brain with OCD has decided. And I go with it because if I don't, I will lose sleep over it that night. I will stress about it during the day. It's the only thing that will keep captive my thoughts until I finish the task that way, in that way. Let's see. Sensory processing disorder. Okay, so for me, sensory processing disorder looks like this. When I am at home, sometimes just to kind of escape everything in the world going on or thoughts in my head, I will put my earbuds in and I'll just binge watch different clips or different videos or vlogs on YouTube that just help calm me down. And so I'll do that, or I'll listen to music, or also for me, sensory processing disorder looks like when I'm on the bus and it's busy, that I will have earbuds in and I would listen or watch stuff on the bus on my phone instead of being aware of what's going on around me in public on the bus. My boyfriend does go with me everywhere, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it's just I get overwhelmed very easily. So, or I'll get irritable when I get overwhelmed and I just can't process certain things the way I should. I don't do well with blenders. I don't do well with sirens. I don't do well with a car going around the corner when you're waiting to cross the street and honking really loud. Other people would just notice it, acknowledge it, and move on. For me, I'm over here like this with my hands over my ears. And it takes me at least a minute to calm down. It used to be worse, but it's gotten better. Just through, practicing being out or being around these things, some of the stuff, it hasn't gotten better. Let's see. Also for me with that, sensory processing disorder also causes me to not want to have tags on any of my shirts. With this one, I don't have a tag. It has a label, but no tag. Things without tags but labels are a plus. Let me tell you, it is so much better. So whether that be for undergarments, whether that be for shirts, pants, anything, has to be tagless. I cannot stand it. Ever since I was old enough to use scissors, I would clip them off. Or I just wouldn't wear them. And let's see. Okay, and years ago I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. This one's kind of funny because, and I'll explain why. Everything I have mentioned so far causes anxiety. So, generalized anxiety disorder, for me, I feel like is non-existent. Like, it's not really something I deal with. Oh, by the way, I'm having to walk with the phone because I have to go find a charger cord. Because my phone is on 10% battery, so that's great. Let's see. All right. Found the charger box. Emergency averted. Sorry, I don't know what to say sometimes, so sometimes I'll just make something up to try to, bring lighthearted to the situation. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm gonna have to hold the phone here while it's charging. Let's see. Oh yeah, generalized anxiety disorder. I don't feel I have that because autism, sensory processing disorder, OCD, those things, they cause anxiety. So for me, I could say I have generalized anxiety disorder, but I don't feel like I'm anxious just because. I feel like my anxiety always goes back to one of those things. So, I don't feel I have that. All right, I also have major depression or major depressive disorder. That has, yeah, it has some heavy stuff tied with it. I'll start out with the easiest one first. The way that I knew I had major depressive disorder, looking back when I was a kid, I remember struggling in school and showing signs of learning difficulty or disabilities when I was as early as 7 years old in first grade. I remember it very vividly. Like, I had trouble with school, meaning learning disabilities. Signs that I showed before was I did not have trouble reading, but I had trouble reading out loud. I would trip over my words, I would add words to it, I would read things backwards, letters would get mixed up, which makes me think that I might have signs of dyslexia. I don't know for sure though, even now, but I do find that interesting. Learning disabilities that I know I have are ones to do with writing, ones to do with math, and ones to do with understanding and processing what is being said to me and being able to communicate back. Now, I can hold a conversation with someone, but that's totally different when it comes to academic stuff. Let's see. So, yeah, a lot of that stuff that I struggled with, which caused me to be homeschooled from 7th grade through 12th, those were because of struggling in school. My mom tried to pull me out because she was trying to help me out, but she wasn't prepared to be able to homeschool me like I needed to be. Not in the cookie cutter way, but in the way where it best served my needs because I was a struggling kid. I was having a hard time. She tried, but it didn't work very well. So, yeah, growing up, I had struggles with depression. I remember there was a lot of family issues going on. I was a very strong-willed kid, but let's just say that hot sauce for back talking was not a productive way to discipline your kids. Spanking them until you aren't frustrated with them anymore is not a good way to discipline your kids. It's a fast way to basically crush their spirit and make them afraid of you. So when you have parents that say, spare the rod, spoil the child, they're taking it out of context. As far as I'm aware, I don't believe in the Bible, and I say that as someone who's an atheist. I don't believe in the Bible that it says it is okay to use God's word as a reason to abuse your children. I don't care how difficult your child is. Putting soap in their mouth, that has chemicals. I had friends that said their parents did that. I got hot sauce to drink. Doesn't matter if it was from the bottle or a tablespoon. I would never do that to a child of mine. I don't have any kids yet, but I have been live-in nanny in the past. I've had friends with kids, and I loved all those kids dearly with all my heart. I would never do that to them ever, no matter how difficult they were. And I wouldn't spank them until I felt that I wasn't angry anymore. It's just wrong. It's not okay. You don't help your kids learn to obey you by fearing you. For me, my relationship with my parents now is very, very... You can say there's a lot of lack of trust, and it's very fragile. Like, no matter what we go through right now, I still find it very hard to trust them. I wasn't an easy kid. I admit that. I admit they made mistakes. But at the same time as them saying that they made mistakes, some of those mistakes have caused me to have nightmares. That's PTSD, okay? It doesn't take much to cause PTSD. It doesn't cause much to be called child abuse. You don't have to have bruises all over you. You don't have to have cigarette burns on your arm. You don't have to have slash marks across your ribs, or to have your hair all matted up and be dirty and filthy in your own filth to be called abuse. Way before that, it can be called abuse. Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up. Sorry, I kind of got stuck in that moment there. I think a lot of it was just talking about that past stuff. It's just, it doesn't bring up good memories, so I'm going to move past that. Auditory processing disorder. For me, that looks like when I'm having a conversation to someone, I will swear up and down like, oh yeah, I heard you say this. And they will say, I never said that. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, either they're crazy or I'm crazy. I don't know what's going on. So I looked into it further, and through my research, auditory processing disorder basically means with the communication part of your brain and the speech part, that sometimes misfiring happens when you have input that comes in and input that goes out. And the processing part of your brain, where when you have that input, for me, I will hear, a sound or somebody say something, and like I said, I'm sure they said this thing or I heard this thing, but turns out it never happened, or I will hear it completely different. So my brain gets it kind of jumbled up. I already talked about learning disabilities. Traumatic brain injury. Back in 2017, when I had moved out of my parents' house, I was living with friends, and I had a job at a dog kennel. And at this dog kennel, they had a indoor area, and they also had an outdoor area. Now, the outdoor area had a hose that was leaking, and keep in mind, this is in January, and for Colorado, that's cold, and there was snow on the ground, there was ice, and I knew that hose was leaking over the kennels, so, me and my good traction boots and jacket and everything, I was out there, I was helping shovel snow, and this hose that was leaking basically made a puddle below, and I was trying to go around that puddle so I wouldn't fall. And in the process of trying to do that, I ended up slipping anyways, even though it was like 4 feet away from the puddle. Easily should have been fine, but apparently it wasn't. So I fell, I hit my head, and there was a period of time where I don't remember anything. And then I came to, and all the dogs were barking and everything. So I went into the break room, tried to clean up a little bit, and then I found one of the other workers, told them what happened, and they said, you need to go to the office right now, and they need to take you to the emergency room to be able to get checked and all that. So I went to the office of, this dog kennel, told my boss about what had happened, and she said, okay, well, the owner isn't here right now, but she will be here very soon. She's about, 15 minutes away. Turns out that owner decided to go to her friend's house first and then come to get me, which was over 30 minutes later. Meanwhile, I'm in the office sitting in a reclining chair, feeling lightheaded, dizzy, kind of seeing double of different things, and feeling very, very tired. Signs of a concussion. A concussion, no matter the degree of it, is still a traumatic brain injury because it causes trauma to your brain. When you have a concussion, that basically means like if you had a Easter egg. The Easter egg is your skull. And you crack open that plastic Easter egg and you have a marble in it. That's your brain. You shake it around or you fall and it causes things to get shaken up inside, which causes the brain injury. In this case, a concussion. So once the owner finally got there, I told them about what had been going on. I told them that I had been waiting a while, and I said, can you please take me to the emergency room? I needed to go there long before now because, I had been having trouble staying awake. And they just nonchalantly said, okay, I'll grab my keys and, I'll meet you out by the car. And so I went out there and was like, this is unbelievable, ridiculous. So, but at least we were going. So, went to the emergency room and they did different tests, like, put both your fingers, towards your nose together and touch your fingertips. Raise one arm, raise the other arm, stand up, sit down, count backwards from 20 or something like that. What was my name? Where do I live? What job did I have, to try to see if I could remember stuff. And the reason the arms are touching my fingertips, I had a hard time with. And so they said, more than likely you had some trauma done to your head because of the fall, but the tests came back negative for the MRI, which I didn't understand. But they did say that you have white lesions, white marks that are on your brain from the scan. And they said, do you by any chance have migraines? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I've had those since I was a very young child. And I still do to this day, and I'm 37, sorry. Had a birthday back in March, still think I'm 36. Anyways, they asked that, and I said, yes, I do have migraines. And I told them that, wow, you can actually see it on the scan. That's crazy. And they were like, yeah. So they were like, well, it's not causing any harm or anything to you. We just wanted to make sure you were aware of them. So I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't know. Thanks for telling me. So fast forward about 6 months, and I started having memory problems. I started staring off and being told that, I looked like I was just spacing out. Come to find out, I was having absence seizures. I was having short-term and long-term memory loss, like forgetting my phone number, forgetting the address of where I lived, forgetting somebody's name that I had known for years, or different facts about somebody that I knew, like a friend. So I think in this situation of falling, hitting my head, and also messing up my arm, even though it was just bruised, the The part about hitting my head, I believe them that they said that there wasn't any lasting damage. And I also believe that sometimes things, sorry, I'm still charging my phone, so it's a little wobbly because I can't set it down, because if I do, you guys will just fall right over. The cord is attached at the bottom of my phone, so I have to hold it up. But I believe that some of these effects from that fall have happened since then. So, yeah, I do have memory problems. I do have absent seizures, which means I just stare off, and that part of my memory is just gone. Think of it basically like a whiteboard, like dry erase board. You have, memories here, you have memories over here, and in the middle, there's some stuff, but when you have an absent seizure, it's like the eraser just swipes out that middle. You remember the before, you remember the after, but in between, when you had your absent seizure and you were staring off and others thought maybe you were just being rude or staring at somebody or whatever it was, not paying attention, not listening to them, and you were having an absent seizure, that center part is gone. There's no way to get it back. So I would have to ask somebody, I'm sorry, I just had one of these. Can you please let me know what I just missed? Because this happened because of this. So that's how I explain it to people that aren't aware that I have those. I'm pretty sure that's about all that I'm going to talk about. Those are my mental health conditions that I have. Some I've been diagnosed with, others I have not yet. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video about it today. Maybe it might help encourage any of you that might be struggling with similar stuff. And just please like and subscribe to my channel. And to see future videos, I do have another one coming up not long from now, where it's going to be a birthday present haul for one of my ex's kids, not having anything to do with the ex, but one of the children that lives with their mom, and I'm still able to have contact with those little ones. The oldest one's going to be turning 10 this June, so sometime by, I would say, early June, I'll be able to make the video, because then I'll have all the stuff from Amazon. But it's going to be a birthday present haul, and then I'll show all the stuff that I'm getting for her 10th birthday, and then I'll explain I'm packaging it up and sending it off to Missouri. So anyways, just wanted to let you guys know about that coming up, and like I said, I can't do it until the beginning of June because I need to be able to afford to get some of the stuff at the beginning of this next month and then the beginning of June, so I won't be able to have everything I need until the beginning of June to be able to do the video. Anyways, sorry for all the rambling. But yeah, anyways, back to what I was talking about. Those are my mental health conditions, and I hope any of those might encourage you that are also struggling with stuff, that you're not alone, that I'm there for you, that there are lots of others out there that are there for you. Maybe you just haven't met them yet. But yes, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up. And I think this question for the day, let's see. I think my question will be, what is your favorite dessert? So I know for me, it's Moose Tracks. The ones with the ice cream that's fudge swirl, but it has the peanut butter cups in it, and it has the rest of it is mainly chocolate. Oh, it's so good. And also, I like pistachio dessert. So if you don't know what that is, Google it. Oh my word, it is so good. So yeah, thank you guys again, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.